Hello everyone, I'm Tam, and I'm back with another topic for my series of why I think it is. Today I want to discuss why I believe empathy is not a solution. I think empathy is a great framework to view and understand a person's psychological state to, to certain actions that they do. I don't think just by itself it can like resolve um, much of anything. You still need to kind of apply, for example, consequences to a certain outcome to make it kind of equal and kind of fair for everyone else. So number one, as I said, empathy is a great way to understand a person. Like, for example, you have a teenager who you have a teenager who has just robbed a store, and like if you look back to his history or her history, you see that they grew up in kind of a negative environment. Could be in a bad neighborhood, a bad block. Could be the parents were missing, the parents were absent in the household, or that the parents may have been a kind of abusive and kind of like extorting the child to do things that they don't want to do and so forth. So some kind of bad circumstance gave this individual the kind of like I guess the framework that to do something kind of bad themselves, like to kind of like take it out on the world, so to speak, or they were forced to just kind of feed themselves, and the only way that they kind of like know how to at that point was to rob a store. Like for whatever reason, perhaps the individual can't get a job right now because they're like 8 years old or something like that. So the options to, I guess, escape a certain situation or overcome it is not um, on a table, so to speak, or visibly seen on a table. And and for sure, you can definitely glean all of that from the eyes of empathy. However, the situation still has to be resolved because the store owner probably now has a broken store window to repair, has it open tomorrow at 6 a.m. in the morning to to sell his goods to the community who may depend on him to actually do that. For example, like a catering business may depend on his restaurant to give them a certain product tomorrow. Otherwise, that affects their business. So there is kind of a social community network effect that still needs to be resolved. As well as the teenager also has to be taught that consequences are the law of the land. Yes, like yeah, yes, you may have a bad day or situation. Doesn't mean you are completely um completely dismissed from your consequences. And to extension, doesn't matter if you're kind of rich, poor, strong, etc. You still need to face your consequences because that's the fairest rule that's out there. Number two is that p people who kind of like focuses empathy, like kind of like force it upon themselves. Will find themselves having to meet the other person like all the way, like it, that song like meet me halfway, like for a empathetical person trying to be very trying to be very kind of like trying to use empathy, yeah, they probably will meet the other person all the way through, and that may not be actually that may not be a healthy situation because chances are, if you meet someone all the way through, you probably will not be strong enough to pull them all the way to the to the other side. You may get dragged into their situation, and now both of you are down. So this is not the way to go, you may find it very hard. It's kind of the same argument has, like has a person who walks into a bad neighborhood and try to change it from the inside out. You may actually get killed or something may happen to you. Yes, it's a great thing to kind of aspire to like, be the change, so to speak. you have to be careful because you may damage and hurt something. For example, yourself or your loved ones may not be kind of like open targets, so to speak. And this is my last point is that like yeah, I think it's great to try to be more empathetical, just kindness, and just to try to like reach out to other people and meet people up to like halfway through. However, you still need to understand that there are consequences, like to 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 not I guess explain those away is not going to help anybody. It won't resolve the situation, and it definitely will probably give the illusion that you can continue to act the way you are, even if you can explain it to yourself or other people. Oh, I have a bad childhood, a bad neighborhood, so that's why I am doing all these things. It doesn't really uplift you or make yourself feel better.